First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and great glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to the elect pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth and truth to the sincerity. In this particular video, I want to touch on this video right here that you see on your screen. Trump will decide on Iran strike within 2 weeks, White House says. Now, we know what the prophecy says. The prophecy says the least of the flock will draw them out. So we know what the decision is going to be. All right. As a matter of fact, let's grab that really quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 50. Oh, Salakia. This is Jeremiah 50 and 45. And we read, "Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yahweh, that he hath taken against Babylon and his purposes, that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock." Now, who's the least of the flock? That's Amalek. Those small hats over there right now in our land, those imposters, those will be the least of the flock. Shall draw them. Who's the them? That will be America. Out. Out to what? This third world's war. All right, so I'll bring that back. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. So Amalek is going to draw America out into the third world's war. This is prophecy. So Trump is sitting here, which a lot of people would say he already has his decision made because the Lord has put it in him, to do this. Does it not say the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord? I believe that's Psalms 21, I believe. Let's see. Salakia. Let's go Proverbs 21. Salakia for doing that. This is Proverbs 21 and 1, and we read, "The king's heart," and when you get into heart, is lob, which means your mind. So these modern day kings, they're called presidents, prime ministers, so forth and so on, supreme leaders, okay, so forth and so on. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh. That's right. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. That's right. So the Lord is in control of the mental of these kings of the earth, these prime ministers, these supreme leaders, these presidents, so forth and so on. All right. So when Trump says he's going to make a decision in 2 weeks, it is not up to him. The Lord will do it on his time. All right. Don't forget, I'm talking stretching back. As a matter of fact, let me bring this picture up real quick. Just give me a second. Okay. Right here, in October 1996. It's 1996 and Iran is days away from a nuclear weapon. It's 2002 and Iran is days away from a nuclear weapon. This is 2020. This is 2012 and Iran is days away from a nuclear weapon. Now it's 2025 and Iran is days away from a nuclear weapon. I bring this up to say that they've been trying to attack Iran for long, since 1996. But the Lord didn't put it in their mind to really make that move. He didn't authorize that. He didn't sign off on that. But now we're in the time where he's signing off. All right. He's authorizing the action of America being drawn out into this war and Israel striking Iran and bringing America into this war. All right. So going back to the video. Now, Slovakia. Trump will decide. No, Trump is not going to decide anything. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is going to decide. All right. And it looks like we're in that season. All right. Because when you read Revelations 11 and 14, it tells you that the second woe is past. That second woe is what? World War. The first woe ended in 1919. All right. The second woe was 1945. So 30 some years later, the First World War ended, and then the Second World War ended. And it says the third woe cometh quickly. So we're in that season. From the First World War ending to up to today, it's been like 103, 102, give or take years. So we are in that season. So the Lord has put it in their mind to, hey, make that move. All right. And we see prophecies jumping off of the page. We see the weak saying that they're strong. Joel chapter 3, 9 and 10. Because they beat their plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks into spears, which means they got up their military might. They're enriching uranium and accessing nuclear capabilities. So now you have the weak saying that they're strong. All right. We have wars of rumors of wars, Matthew 24, 6 to 7. All right. And then we got Ezekiel 38 jumping off of the page. America says that they want to get into this war, acting like they haven't already had their hands in this war. They're already in this war already. But you have Russia coming in defense of Iran. Don't forget, it says that when Russia comes, it's going to be Persia, Libya, and Ethiopia with them. Persia is Iran. All right. Persia changed its name to Iran in 1935. Right. So we got prophecy jumping off of the page. We got Russia saying, if you bomb those nuclear sites over there in the Middle East, there was going to be consequences in the Middle East. So they're coming in defense of Iran. All right. Before I get too long-winded, this is supposed to be a short video. Let's play this. All right. Trump acting like he's deciding to do something. For those of y'all who have ears to hear. Yeah.
Regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. Go ahead.
Caroline, thank you. So Rhino warmonger Lindsey Graham, he recently called on the U.S. to go all in.
That's quite the lead to a question.
Right. What's your message to?
Well, if you saw Lindsey Graham talking about the war, he basically said that the American people should be asking themselves, are they willing to die to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon? Die for the future, that little speech that Esau liked to push out. So yes, this is why he's calling Lindsey Graham a warmonger, because the decision has already been made. All right. Trump is a puppet. Don't forget his last term, he was talking about Obama going to the Middle East to save face. He was talking about Obama pulling the Iran card and going to war with them just to show that he has power or whatever like that. Now he's doing the same thing. Why? It's because he's a puppet. His masters came and said, hey, it's time to take over Iran. And not just his masters, the Lord put it in their mind. The Lord authorized the time, right?
Everyday Trump supporters, not the Tucker Carlsons or other big names, but everyday Trump supporters, grassroots who voted for President Trump to stop the wars, rejected this in the primary, going into another war with voting against Nikki Haley, and they want to see non-U.S. involvement in this war. What's your message?
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe.
Okay, after everything he says, her response is, trust in President Trump. Just trust him. Just trust him. Fuck the connecting the dots that you're doing and all of that, making sense and shit. Just trust him. Do you see where we're at right now? We are in the times of the ushering in of our King Yahushai. You see? All right? We've been waiting a long time for this. All right? We can almost taste the kingdom. Right? But the MOTB has to be implemented first in a big way. And then World War III will reach its climax. And don't forget, we got to go through JT as well. But we're close, man. There's not another 5 years here, as some false prophets will say. There's not another 100 years here, as some false prophets will say. We are months away. All right? Like Elder Apostle Tahar said, whether it be 6 months, whether it be 12, whether it be, 12 plus. All right, how about that?
In his first term as president, in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, no
peace through strength. Read between the lines. That means war.
Nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades.
See, now, I showed you that screenshot. Since 1996, they've been saying that about Iran. You see? Right? This is bullshit. And notice her body language and her speaking patterns. That shot of adrenaline just went through her body. She's out of breath when she's talking. Just peep.
Just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2000,
you ever caught somebody lying, and they're trying to convince you of something, and you see them, they're talking fast, they're looking left and right, they're out of breath. This is what she's giving off. All right.
That Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said, America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists. In 2015, the president said the problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States. And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
Is there a follow-up?
Sure. Go ahead, Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Can you confirm what?
Now, don't be surprised when that decision in 2 weeks is to go over there and defend Israel. We just read the prophecy, Jeremiah 50 and 45. The least of the flock shall draw them out to this world war. You have Russia saying they're going to come in Iran's defense, not just Russia, China, North Korea, Pakistan. You see? It's really looking like, the world against them. All right? You even have France, which is a nuclear power, condemning Israel for what they're doing in Gaza. So we're also seeing America's allies turn on them, right? And this is prophecy jumping off of the page, all right? We see NATO saying that they will create a new NATO without America. NATO is getting pissed off with America. This is Revelations 17:15, where it tells you the beast shall hate the whore. The beast is NATO, all right, in the EU, and shall burn her flesh with fire. That's America losing its allies, man. Pay attention.
Steve Witkoff has been in touch with the Iranian foreign minister. And does Witkoff plan to go to Geneva tomorrow for talks?
I am not tracking that on Mr. Witkoff's travel schedule, but I can certainly check in with him to be sure. As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Thanks, Kenneth. Just to clarify the president's statement just now, when he says that he'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks, is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
And is he seeing any...
Is it really clear and direct? She just asked you to elaborate. Does it mean that he's going to go over there, aid Israel, and start bombing Iran? You just repeated what he said and said, it's very clear and direct.
signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
What makes him think there's still a substantial chance, is my question.
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale. The president believes that, but that's his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Caroline.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of like, we expect like a 2-week deadline and then you give another 2-week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia, Ukraine, might I add, these are two very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration's just complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again. With respect to Russia and Ukraine, because of that American strength and the president's leadership, we have seen these two sides engage in direct negotiations. And the last time the president said 2 weeks, you saw Russia and Ukraine have direct negotiations for the first time in years. And so the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution.
Well, Russia getting tired of you. Russia's being brought back to that hating the USA spirit, man, that Soviet Union spirit, man. You see, America's a hypocrite. They talk about Iran using proxies, and each time that the Houthis, Hezbollah, or Hamas, which are proxies of Iran, each time that they do a strike, that they're going to count it as Iran doing it. So they better control their proxy groups, so forth and so on. But then you have America using Ukraine as a proxy to hit Russia, giving them weapons. They're funding them, also giving them missiles to strike deep into Russia. They could have never done that. They don't have the capability to do that. See, America went over there and gave them these things, man. Gave them the equipment to strike deep into Russia. So, you know, you got Putin, you got Russia, man, they tired of America, man. That's why I tell you in Isaiah 13 that the meat shall be stirred up against them, and they shall not regard silver or gold. They ain't going to want no gold, no silver. You can't pay them off, none of that shit. Only thing they're going to look for in the future is the destruction of America. All right?
To the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add. Francesca.
Strength is war. Read between the Edomite fork tongue.
Thanks, Caroline. What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would...
Basically, what they're saying, no enrichment of uranium. That's a deal breaker to Iran. Iran says, no, they're going to continue to enrich uranium. They can do that. There's no international law put in place to say that they can't. So they can talk about anything else. Iran even went as far to say, we can even talk about how much uranium I can enrich. So when Iran even put it down like that, look, we're going to continue to enrich it. but we can lower the amount that we're enriching. Now Americans came out on the other side saying what? We don't even want you to enrich not even 1%. 1%, my nigga. Y'all looking for war. All right? That's like the bully that's looking for a way to pop off on you, man. No matter what you say, he's shooting down everything you say. You could be right as hell. He just shooting down everything you say just because he wants to hit you. That's America right now, the bully. All right.
Absolutely not. Iran is not absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms. And that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
To follow up on what you told Natalie, are the talks that the United States is currently having with Iran direct, or are those through intermediaries? And if so, which countries are acting as the intermediary right now?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions and negotiations, I am not going to get into the details of them. We've provided you confirmation for now.
Well, I hope it was edifying with that. Hope you could take something from this. Shalom.